Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we're doing a what's next on the reigning and undefeated IBF Cruiserweight champion of the world, Jai Opetai, following his dominant fourth-round TKO victory over previously undefeated Jordan Thompson, as Opetai shook off the rust of what is it, about a 15-month layoff, something like that, or 14-month layoff, as he, successfully defended his title for the first time. Now, before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. Now, the Jordan Thompson fight, first off, I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, who's Jordan Thompson? He was a nobody. And to an extent, you're correct on that. He is a nobody. Hadn't beaten anybody significant to earn this shot, but it was basically an opponent to throw in there against Opetai, because Opetai tried to have two mandatories prior to this. He had Mateusz Masternak, the veteran, lined up for what would have been Masternak's first world title shot. Masternak bailed out. Then Richard Riakporhe from the United Kingdom was lined up, who also has a win over Chris Smith. Opetai was willing to fight him on the same kind of level, and Opetai, and Riakporhe pulled out of that one too. So Opetai, it's not for a lack of trying. The guy wants to fight, but he just wanted to stay busy because those guys bailed out on him. So he took on a 6'6" guy. Jordan Thompson was undefeated with 12 knockouts, 15-0 with 12 knockouts, and he was 6'6". Opetai is 6'2", so that is a risk still, and Opetai beat the shit out of him. And you know what? Against a guy who's not well known and is not on your level, that's what you're supposed to do against a guy like that. So Opetai looked great against the guy he should have looked great against. And now the big question is, what's next for Jai Opetai following that victory? Well, what we know is that he's probably going to fight Mairis Briedis in a rematch next. The IBF has ordered Mairis Briedis to challenge Jai Opetai for the title. Mairis Briedis was at that fight between Opetai and Thompson. I truly believe it's going to be Opetai and Briedis again. And as much as I like Mairis Briedis, I just think Opetai is on another. I really do feel this kid's on another level. To come out against Briedis and decisively beat him over 12 rounds. Briedis has said he was injured, and that did hamper him. But I believe Opetai is going to win that rematch. I do. I'm favoring him to win. So if he pulls off the victory, what we're basically going to look at is his options after that, since Briedis is a mandatory. So that means he's going to be able to do what he wants after the Briedis rematch if he's victorious. So let's start with a couple guys that we don't necessarily, that are just moving up. Well, Gilberto Ramirez is lining himself up in the WBA, so that's not likely. Joe Smith Jr. wouldn't be a bad option either, though. Joe Smith lost to Gilberto Ramirez, but stated that he wants to stay at Cruiserweight. So I wouldn't mind seeing Joe Smith with his power punching ass going after Jai Opetai. I think that'd be a good at least name to get on his resume, but I don't know if Opetai would want that kind of, a guy coming off of a defeat after he would have successfully defeated the previous #1 guy in the division again in Briedis. He might be looking for something bigger. So there's Badou Jack is now, it looks like he's officially moving out of Cruiserweight, going to Bridgerweight. He's vacated the WBC title, and that was I was kind of bummed to hear that, because I wanted to see Jack and Jack make a run here at Cruiserweight to try to unify belts, but Jack clearly is not interested in Cruiserweight. He wants to move up and fight at the Bridgerweight limit to try to win another title. So that doesn't look like an option. Then there's WBO champion Chris Smith. Well, Smith looks like he's either going to fight Masternak or Riakporhe next, and I really think they're going to stay in their little realm there before they take a chance against Opetai. So I'm not seeing that. I really think Smith, he's going to clear up this situation of whether Okoli wants to fight him in a rematch or not. I'm leaning towards Okolie not fighting him because it's been a minute. And I think Chris Smith had been rumored to be fighting Mateusz Masternak, at some point before the end of the year. I think he'll probably end up fighting him. I think that's why Masternak pulled out of the fight with Opetai. I think they'll end up going at it. Or Bill Smith will sign on for a showdown with Richard Riakporhe. But I believe that means Opetai is probably going to have to wait around for the winner, for whoever comes out of that little mix right there of fighters. I mentioned Richard Riakporhe. He pulled out of the fight with Opetai. I don't think he wants anything to do with Opetai until he gets a rematch with Bill Smith. I think that's his goal. I think Eddie Hearn's gonna try to set up a little, possibly set up a little, or whoever. I could be wrong that it's not Eddie Hearn. I think they're gonna try to set up a little kind of British standoff with also throwing in Mateusz Masternak in that little foursome. If Okolie does end up fighting Bill Smith again, have the winners fight each other, and then that's going to leave Opetai, as I said, out of it. So I don't think Riakporhe is going to want to fight Lawrence Okolie. Okolie seems keen on moving up to, I think he's going to move up to heavyweight. If he does fight at cruiserweight, he's going to go after the rematch of Bill Smith. And he might not want a showdown with Opetai after that. He might want to fight Riakporhe. He might want to move up to heavyweight. I'm just leaning towards it's less likely that we're going to see Okolie and Opetai next year. Ilunga Makabu. Well, Makabu's going to be challenging for the WBC title again, but he's under Don King. I mean, if Don King wants to unify belts, he probably can do it. But I just think it's a lot of hoops to jump through. It's always some kind of mess with Don King. Those fights get scheduled like very last second and everything. And I don't see that fight going down. I'm going to say no to that one. I don't see it going down. Tabisu Mashunu, man, I would love to see Mashunu get a crack at somebody because he deserves it. But I don't think, I think Opetai just might be looking for a bigger fight than Mashunu if he beats Maris Bradis in his next one. So second half of next year, I think Opetai is going to be looking for something bigger. Then you got Junior Dorticos, former world champion. He's going to be fighting Arsen Goulamirian sometime in the next few months. Here's a reason I don't think it could happen unless Dorticos were to get robbed in the fight with what's his name, Goulamirian. Then I think Opetai might give Dorticos a chance. And the reason I say that, because if Dorticos beats Goulamirian, he's probably going to have to fight Gilberto Ramirez for the WBA title next year. Because Ramirez has effectively become the top challenger behind Dorticos now. So I don't see that one. And then Arsen Goulamirian, the WBA champion, same situation. Unless he gets robbed against Dorticos, I don't see Goulamirian and Opetai fighting. So sadly, I don't think there's a lot of options for Opetai unless guys are willing to step up and fight. Another guy, and I don't think he's with Don King, is Noel Gavor. I think that could be a possibility because I don't think Gavor is signed with Don King, and I truly believe Gavor is going to beat Ilunga Makabu for the vacant WBC title. And if that happens, then I could see Gavor and Opetai next year fighting to unify belts. I think Opetai is going to be very dead set on unifying titles, and he's going to want any of the champions to get in a ring with him. And I think Gavor would give him a crack, because here's the kicker. Gavor should have got the win over Maris Bradis in the World Boxing Super Series Season 2. He got robbed. I'm a Bradis fan, and I still will say to this day that that Gavor got robbed against Bradis in the quarterfinals of the Season 2 of the World Boxing Super Series. So, I truly believe that Noel Gavor and Jai Opetai could very well happen for a unification bout by next year. But other pieces have to fall in place, and Opetai has to go out and beat Bradis. So a lot of things there, but Opetai, I think, has a bright future, and as long as he decisively beats Bradis again, It's almost going to, you know, the division's going to have to run through him at some point. None of these guys from England, even after beating Lawrence Okolie, even if Okolie comes out and beats Bellin Smith or beats Richard Riakporhe or whatever, none of those guys are going to be able to call themselves the #1 guy in the division until they look at Jai Opetai. And Lawrence Okolie said nobody wants to fight me. Well, I think Opetai is going to be down to fight now. And Opetai said from day one he'd be down to fight, but he got hurt and he had to have a surgery. So now that he seems to be healthy and he's good to go, if he convincingly beats Maris Bradis again, whoever comes out of that mix, it might not be till 2025. But Jai Opetai is here, and he's looking for an opponent in the he's going to be looking for a good, solid opponent in the second half of 2024. And whoever's ready to go to unify belts, I think Opetai is going to be there for that fight. So we'll see what happens, but that's it. That's what I got. That's my what's next on reigning undefeated IBF Cruiserweight champion of the world, Jai Opetai, following his dominant 4th-round TKO victory over Jordan Thompson on September 30th on DAZN. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.